Ding dong! Klockan är 8:00. That's when I was a kid. They had this. They didn't have. Obviously, we didn't have smartphones. So if you didn't have a watch on you, you'd call a telephone line, and there was this woman who kept saying the time. Klockan är 8:00:30. And he would just repeat the time the whole time, and it was such a funny thing. That's such weird things when we were younger. Nowadays, when kids hear that, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's dumb. Everyone has a smartphone, so you don't need a watch." But yeah, that's what it is like. Hey, Nadja. We even had, obviously, they didn't have chat rooms and YouTube and stuff like that. So that there was also something where you called in, and it was like a hotline or something, and you had lots of other people that you could talk to, and they just connected you to random rooms, and it was super expensive, I think. It's just, yeah, fun stuff. Hey, Nicole. I had I had such a crazy Easter. It was, it was interesting. Everyone's been sick. My daughter, she had 39.9 degrees fever. Hey, Steven. So she had a really bad fever, and then we had to cancel the egg hunt. And I'm completely out of focus. My fiancée, she got a fever as well, so now she's sick. And then I was just joking with a friend, saying that when things go bad, like everything goes bad at the same time, it just piles up. So it's rarely just one thing that goes wrong. And yeah, right now there's just so many things that need to be done. And the good thing about that is that the contrast just becomes so absurd that it becomes easier to not get pulled into it. I think it's, if you have just a little bit kind of hard stuff in the background, then it's easier to just have it, okay, well, that's okay, I can feel bad about this, and then you kind of let that stress you out a little bit. But when it becomes so much that it's just ridiculous, we have like 4 major things right now that are like big things going on that are not fun things. I hope so too, Nicole. And that's just like the things that need to be done. And then I have all these fun things that I need to do, that I want to do, but I don't have time. Like I still haven't figured out the payment for the forum and the calls and everything, so I need to fix that. And I actually need to make sure how that connects and get people in. But I simply don't have time to do that right now, so I have to do other stuff. And then when it becomes so much that you just don't really know how you're going to be able to do everything, and you have this stressing feeling, there's a feeling in the stomach, you just feel like, there's just so much stuff when you become overwhelmed. And especially if you've been burnt out like I have, then what happens is you cannot take action, you kind of become hindered by it, because the barrier to action is so big that when you get overwhelmed, you just can't do anything. So then when you have it that much, you can kind of go in and you can just see, what is it that makes me feel bad about this? So I'll give an example. Right now I have a situation with some people trying to do something bad towards my mother. Just to simplify it, something like absolutely is so absurd that it's difficult to even think about, and it's legal stuff, so I don't want to talk about exactly what it is, but it's just completely, if you would hear the story, we're like, what the, like, you can't be serious, but yes, it's serious. So thinking about that, I can see that there's a part of me going like, oh, this is, you just don't behave like that. This is not how you behave towards other people. It's just not okay. And I can see how in that, me saying that's not how you behave, that's a sense of self. And if I kind of try to let go of that distortion, that feeling bad, I immediately come back to like, well, if I didn't feel bad about it, I wouldn't do anything about it. And I want to feel bad about it. I want to like stress about this and have this feeling. So then you let go of it and you kind of go back and forth. But eventually it just hurts so much that you go like, well, this is just dumb. Like, why am I doing this? And then you can let go of it. And then you feel all this peace, and it's just you walking around, you're like, why am I not enjoying being here with my family, or my family who is sick, or taking care of the things around me? Instead, I'm having this thing that is distorting and pulling me away from being here. And I'm letting that be more important than my family. So that's when it really comes down to, the reason we do this, it seems like, well, who would I be if I didn't do that? But if you think about how much better, how much nicer you are as a person when you're actually present with your children. If you have children, you know that they want your attention the whole time. Whatever you do, they're like, Papa, 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 Papa. And if you look somewhere, like, Papa, 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 Mama, 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 Mama. You go to the bathroom, Papa, 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 are you done yet? Papa, Papa, Papa. And they come in. My son, yesterday, I was sitting in the bathroom taking a poop, and he came and wanted a hug, and he jumped up in my lap while I was pooping. Like, you never get to be alone. So they want your undivided attention and just having you. So the best you can do to be present and be a good person to the people around you is actually to be here. And all these things that pull us away, like all the things we hear on the news, there's so much crap going on in the world right now. It's insane. And it's so easy to watch YouTube and see all these clips and like read the news and just completely pull yourself away from the only thing you can actually do anything about, which is being right here and just being with the people around you and being with yourself, being aware like what you're doing right now. So while you're listening to this, you could be off surfing, like at the same time, maybe you are having a video running at the same time, watching something about what's happening on the stock market or the war or whatever is happening around you, or watching a series, just because you can't just be here, just being calm. And the enjoyment of really being able to just experience the world through your senses. I think this is why I quite often, when people say being in the present moment, no, that's a different thing. Because when people say being in the present moment, they say, oh, just be aware with what you're doing right now. You're talking, you're meditating, you're here in this room, and you're sitting here and doing this. I'm talking about the raw sensory input of your senses, just seeing, touching, feeling, smelling, tasting, without an emotional reaction towards that, just experiencing reality. And it's so liberating. It's so peaceful, and it's so enjoyable. And then you ask yourself, all those things I'm stressing about, why am I doing that? Because I want to enjoy myself more. And the funny thing is that you don't need those things to enjoy being here. So that's one of the ways that having hardship really helps, because the contrast gets so big that it's like Eckhart Tolle, if you've read his book, The Power of Now. He talks about he felt so bad that he just, like, I can't stand myself because there's so, like, who I am now, that this bad feeling. And like, wait, who is me? Like, there must be two of me then. And then you can feel a separation between that. There's actually a feeling inside of you that you're having a hard time with. It's not your thoughts, which he says, but the thoughts are not the problem. The problem is the feeling that you get from those thoughts. And you can't separate from those, because there is a way of experiencing the world that is free from a sense of self. You could call non-duality or emptiness or whatever you want, but that is such a... It's so clearly better to live life that way when you do it. It's just obvious. It's not like you have to convince yourself or try to see the world in a... Like, when you experience the world without a sense of self, it's just... This is just obviously so much more enjoyable and better. And I'm a kinder person. I'm a better person in pretty much every single way, compared to when you have this self wanting to distort everything. Stephen, visiting a Buddhist monastery this weekend with a friend. I'm excited. Oh, nice. Happy to hear that, Stephen. Christian, good evening. Nice to have you here as well. How have everyone had their weekend? I mean, their Easter weekend. I hope you had less sickness than we had. We had a really nice time last Thursday before everyone got sick. Oh, actually, that's when my daughter got sick. We had guests visiting us at the house we have here, and we had a barbecue. It's really fun. Hey, Jack. Nice to have you here. What was I talking about? I forgot. If anyone has anything that happened this weekend that they'd like to share, I'd love to hear. JVB, should I ask my question now, or should I wait after they do it now, JVB? I've been waiting for you to ask me a question. I'll be very happy to hear it. I wanted to, something I thought about now when I said before, enjoying. It's not that you are so it's not that it's enjoyable to sit and meditate. It's that the pure experience of being is enjoyable. It's not the thing you're doing that is enjoyable. It's just being is enjoyable when you don't have the sense of anyone being there. Okay, writing it now. Go ahead, no problem. And if anyone else has anything they'd like to talk about, feel free to do it. I think, do you like it better when we do it like this? Because I've been trying to really finish at 9 o'clock so it doesn't get too late. Is it nice if we talk a little bit before and then have, little bit longer before and then nothing after? Or do you like it when we have a short time after? Because I like the idea of reconnecting before we everyone went their separate ways, but at the same time it's also nice to really keep the time schedule so it doesn't get too late, because it's just been getting too late for me. I see Jack is saying, still going through Vajrayana text, and I have to say this is something else. Guru Rinpoche's take on Buddhism is special. I never really, I did read some Vajrayanas, but it just seems so, like I said, I haven't read Buddhist texts in a long time. After I figured out how my practice works, and that worked for the issue that I was having, which was this feeling of why am I never satisfied? Why do I keep wanting something else no matter what I do? Why is it that I need to change reality to enjoy being here? Once I found out how to solve that, then there's no need to read. So basically, I think reading text can easily become a I call it intellectual pornography. It's like you want to be stimulated, so you read stuff instead of actually practicing. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying that it's easy to get caught in the trap, believing that you're supposed to find out something really important, some secret text, instead of actually practicing what they teach, which is obviously much, much harder. So I personally am, I shouldn't say I'm against studying scripture, but I think it's highly overrated, and I would by far recommend you to practice that time rather than reading. Let's see, JVP. It's okay to be ambitious, right? Like if I'm generally motivated by an ambitious goal, it wouldn't be unwise for me to pursue such a motivating ambitious goal, right? So I think this is a really good question as usual, JVB, because there are different perspectives on this. Because we want to make it like you're saying. I want it to be, is it right or wrong, or is it good or bad? And it really depends. So I can, should I give us an example? If you really enjoy weightlifting, it can give you a really kick and make you feel good, and really get a lot of pumping going, and you really, I feel powerful, I feel really strong. If you were depressed and you started doing that, it would be amazing. That is such a good thing to do. And I think for most people doing that it's just really, really good. In fact, I think everyone should probably be doing that if they had the time. I wish I had the time to do weightlifting. But if you're talking about overcoming the sense of self, eventually you're going to have to look at that and say, hey, wait a minute, I feel powerful, I feel strong. There's a strong sense of self in that, meaning that you're actually creating more sense of self by this practice. So I could say that's not the right thing to do. It's going to make you create a stronger sense of self. But I wouldn't say that, because there are many times when it's actually the absolutely best thing you could do, depending on where you are. If you come really far and you've taken away a lot of distortions, and you're really experiencing reality as it is, and you feel that it's enjoyable to just be, then yeah, you could start looking at the weightlifting thing. And if you feel like, oh, I have to work 3 times per week, I have to do that, then I'd recommend you to skip one time, to just sit and see what that feels like, to skip something that you find enjoyable, and actually be willing to give that up. But as I said, I wouldn't actually say that, because I think it's so good for most people to do it. So being ambitious, there's huge amounts of self and distortion in being ambitious. Absolutely. Ambition is distortion. I mean, it's just that simple. But I don't think you should not follow your ambition, because ambition is really good. It pulls you out from just being bland. And if you would stop having ambitions, there's a big chance that you would just kind of be like, I'm just going to sit here and just do nothing and just be okay with reality. Like, you're not there, because if you were, then that would be natural, kind of. But it's good to do all these things and see them, and actually you have to try them. If you're going to say, oh, being successful doesn't mean anything, it's just worldly things, I don't care about things. If you've never been successful, there's always going to be a part of you thinking, maybe if I got really rich, then it would mean something. Or I met many monks who were virgins. They've been monks since they were children, so they had never had sex. For them, there would always be this allure, like, oh, imagine sex, this big thing. It would be, I'm not going to do this because it's defiled and it's dirty, and I don't want to defile my purity, my cleanliness of being a monk born a virgin. And then they make this into this big thing, whereas most of us, all of us who have had sex, knows that sex can be absolutely incredible and amazing, but it's not going to make you happy for the rest of your life, and it can cause more trouble than it can solve. But if done, I almost said correctly, if done in a good way with someone you really care about, there's few things that can make you closer to another human being. So we make all these things into good or bad, or there's so many angles to see. In your case, JVB, I would highly recommend you to follow your ambition, but also look at, are you doing this because you feel? It's basically what I did. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to earn money to then get something? And when I get that thing, I want the next thing. When will it stop? I should get a girlfriend, but what should I do with that girlfriend? Should I eat her? Like, after a while, like, what's left to do? So look at that, and you kind of need to go through that to really see that, okay, this is fun and this is enjoyable, and I've done this. And then the more things you do, the more you'll see, okay, wait a minute, all these things that seem so important aren't actually that important. But you need to see it yourself. If you just listen to me and I say, no, you know what, ambition is bad. Don't do ambition. Ambition is bad. Like, what's South Park? Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Because if you do those things, then because someone else told you, you've completely missed the point. You have to see it and observe it for yourself. Then you can let go of it. That's the problem with what Jack was saying about scripture. If you read too much scripture, the scripture will say, well, that is bad. But you don't know that. And there would be a part of you still believing that, I wonder. And even if you say, I don't believe that, I know it's not true, you have to kind of experience it, let go at a deep part of yourself. Like, this is not going to save me. If any one of you here who has had sex, everyone will know that, okay, knowing that beautiful man or that beautiful woman that you see, if I could just have sex with them, everything would be okay. That is such a ridiculous statement for anyone who's had sex more than once to believe in, even though you might feel that way, like, oh, I have this strong feeling, this pull, but if I could just, we know that's not true. It might be absolutely mind-blowing and nice, but what happens after? So that's the thing. Really, in your case, JVB, and I'm not saying this to say like, oh, you're so far behind. I really mean it. If you feel that you have ambition to do something, do that thing from that ambition. And at the same time, focus on enjoying yourself. Really observe while you're doing this arc, while you're trying to follow your ambition. Are you doing it because you need to prove it to someone else, because you feel so bad if you don't get there? Instead, use it as a tool. Do that thing. Say you want to create a new match company. They make matches in recycled egg shells plastered with aluminium foil from old TV dinners. I don't know, like, you come up with this brilliant idea, and then you make the matches and you take them up and you can strike them on the aluminium or something. Do that, and at the same time as you're doing that, see, are you enjoying it? Are you really having fun? Because a lot of people will follow their ambition and sacrifice their fun, their enjoyment, their family, their social life, all these things in the goal of what? I mean, I've talked before of Elon Musk. Do you think he's happy? He is extremely successful in many ways, but do you believe that he is a happy person? I would never, ever trade places with him. I mean, if I would do something. I mean, I wouldn't be him, and I don't see why I would ever want to do what he does. But if I would want to become successful, that might seem like something that's a good thing to do. But why? What's the point of being successful? I've said this before, like, he's won the game. What's he on about? Like, if you've gotten that much money, if you've done that, that means kind of in a way you've failed to enjoy just being. So they missed the point, kind of. Let's see. Did that make sense, JVB, by the way? Jack is saying, I've been doing hardcore yoga for like 20 years and there's nothing there. Stephen, is that the same concept for professional athletes? Yeah, in a way. I mean, I have a really hard time when I watch sports and stuff to get really excited and feel like, oh, it's so important that they win. I mean, I enjoy Formula One because my father watched Formula One way before it was popular as it is now. And I remember Sundays as a child when there would be Formula One, he was like, oh, don't disturb, now we're watching Formula One. And sometimes I'd watch it with him and he was so... And he always cheered for Ferrari, and if they didn't win, he was really angry. And I was like, yeah, like this. Now I enjoy watching it because there's something nice about it. But yeah, for athletes, it would be the same thing. There can be a lot of distortion. And you cannot tell them, oh, you shouldn't do that because you're doing this. You have to see it yourself. It's not about what you do, it's what's behind what you do. And you need to see it. You cannot go and it would be wrong for them to stop doing professional athleticism, because it creates a lot of distortion and a lot of self and a lot of suffering, because they need to understand that it does. They need to feel it. They need to go on and on and on and feel like, hey, this is causing me so much stress, so much anxiety, that it's not fun. Why am I doing this? I would be much happier just living a normal job and coaching a local gymnastic group or something. Jack, Shiva says that sexual purity is pointless, and I'm not going to argue about it. She says sexual purity is pointless. Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, it's not pointless. It does have abstaining from sex is really, at certain parts of your life, that would be really good. It's the same as when I was a monastic. I remember there were some young girls from Sweden who came and visited because, well, we have a house in Sri Lanka. And when friends and family would come, they would come and visit me sometimes, either at the monasteries or at our house that we have. And there were was it my niece? No, what would she be? Yeah, someone who's related to me. Yeah. And her friend, they came in, they were quite young. And I remember talking to her friend. She's like, how do you do it? How do you, like, how can you not drink? I'm like, what? How can you not drink? Like, what's the problem with not drinking? That's not really... And they saw that as like, wow, what a sacrifice. You're not drinking. That's incredible. And they were, I don't know if they were like 20 or 18. And for them, it was big. But for me, it was like, well, not drinking is not really, that's not a difficult thing to do. And same with abstaining from sex for a while. That's not really a big thing to do. You can handle that. That's not that big of a deal. So there are points to living in celibacy. There are points to not drinking, but when the point becomes the whole thing, then you miss the point. Did I say that right? I think so, at least. Jack, experiences enlightenment. The more stimuli, the better. Sometimes, but it's also good to minimize stimuli so you can have an easier time coping with what you're experiencing, because we can easily be overwhelmed. If you just sit and watch your phone all the time, I promise you that it will be very, very, very difficult to be aware, because the phone is made to push you out of being here. Jack, Martin, if you were to go with Vajrayana, you could still be a monk having a fiancé and a child, Yeah, it's like, I don't need it. It wouldn't give me anything. And the people I've heard from Vajrayana is not really something I agree with. JVB, I'll say this as a response. I've been sort of scolded for having ambitions, and when people dismiss me as an egocentric, ambitious person, I don't feel good, and I feel like I'm abandoning myself. Yeah, it's what I said. There is no right and wrong here, and really you shouldn't look down upon yourself for having ambition, and you shouldn't look down upon yourself for not having ambition. It just is what it is. If you're ambitious, that's usually a sign of a healthy person, but we're trying to do something beyond just what's normal. And a way to do that is not to go in and then say, when you say, I don't remember, did you come from a Buddhist society or a Buddhist background? I have a memory of this. Or am I confusing you with someone else, JVB? But I could see, like, in a Buddhist society, there could be people who would say something like that to you. I don't feel good. So if you just push that down and pretend like you're not ambitious, you would be... Yeah, that would not be a good thing. Then it's better to use that, and then at the same time as you're following your ambition, see are you able to enjoy yourself? Can you see where this is leading? Like I said, if you watch the video Why I Become a Monk, I talk about this, how I thought, okay, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to get a job? I'm supposed to get really good grades. Okay, what happens after I get to the good grades? Well, then you get the good job, and you get the good job, and you earn the good money, and then you need to earn more money, and then you get more money, but then you need to earn more money, and then you buy a car, and then you need to earn more money so you can buy a better car, so you can buy 2 cars, and then you need to buy when I left to Sri Lanka, I was looking at getting a PPL license, a private plane license for small planes, and I was kind of like, well, this is just ridiculous now. Like, why would I need that? And that's how you turn into these people who have so much money they can never spend it, but they're just like, I need more, and then you kind of miss the point. So in that arc, there is a place for learning and growing. And if you would squash that and not experience it, you would, and just read textures about how it's bad, you would simply not get that lesson. So that's why, as I said, I don't believe so much in Scripture, because Scripture is a guide. It's supposed to just give you a bit of motivation to actually do this stuff. But then you have to go out and do it. You have to fail in life. You have to fall in love to see that love. You have to have sex with someone to see that having sex is not the solutions to all your problems. Which I have met monks who have this idea, if I would just have, oh my goodness, what am I missing here? What if it's something this big thing? Because they've never done it. And then they, have issues from that. Jack, time to calm myself and try to learn from others. I'm sorry. Time to calm myself and try to learn from others. Sorry, I didn't get that, Jack. What do you mean? Do you not feel calm, or is that a quote or something? JVB, my background is more Buddhist, yes. Yeah. So then I can see that you have that, and I can see how Buddhist people would say that as well. And I mean, that's again why I say that I don't actually teach Buddhism talk about Buddhism on my channel. I talk about my experiences and what it feels like to go through these things and the obstacles that you run into. And one of the obstacles would be exactly this. You're in a Buddhist society. People tell you what you're supposed and not supposed to do. I mean, I lived with monks, and I had weird stuff happen with monks, and I had stories that were even weirder. Like, we're talking really, that I simply, out of respect, will not, I'm not sure respect is actually why, but let's just say, to not create too much controversy, I'm not going to talk about those things. But monks are just people. They're just people. And when you try to push people into a mold just because that's how you're supposed to be, there's all these issues that run up, which is why I believe if you read the Buddhist texts, I get this really clear feeling that the Buddha didn't want any rules. People sometimes came to and said, okay, we make up this rule. If someone does this, we should have a rule that says they cannot do this. And he said, no, we only do rules when someone misbehaves or there's an issue. Then we do a precept or a rule for the monks. So it wasn't that the rules were there because they're holy or like the right way to live. It was just that it caused issues. So the reason that monks only eat breakfast and lunch is because there was a story of there was someone who went out for alms round when it was dark, and the people in the house, they threw stones at them because they thought it was robbers, and the monks got hurt. So they said, okay, we're not going to go on alms round after it's dark, so only breakfast and lunch. And that a bonus is that when you fast, you have a clearer mind, which is true. This is not like some mumbo jumbo thing. You'll see it if you do a longer fast. You really get a clearer mind. Jack, I am too excited for the experience of other people to remember why I'm here and what I'm doing with those meditations for days now. Yeah, what I talk about, what I notice in myself many times is that, and which is gone now, and I talk to my fiance about this sometimes, because she can really get, when someone talks about something like, oh, I know this, I need to say what I know, and I need to show them that either I'm right, or I need to show them that there's another way of seeing things, or I need to show another side of it. That is a sense of self going like, I need to show this. So for me, when people try to really show that, I said, okay, there's a strong sense of self wanting to see that, and you need to let that out. You need to feel that and feel that it's a distortion. you might think that it's, I'm not talking about you specifically, but what I had that need to share, I said, well, it's because I want to help people. But actually, it's my insecurity. When you feel secure, when you feel calm, when you feel really present, you don't need to help anyone. You can just listen, and then when you feel, okay, now it's a good time to share, but you become much more at ease with the world being the way it is. You don't need to change everything. And you know that that person saying all that stuff, even though you know it's wrong, they might just need to get it off their chest. And you telling them what the right thing is probably not going to help them anyway. Stephen, schools should teach meditation. That would be amazing. Absolutely. I've actually been to schools and taught meditation quite a few times. Nicole, JVB, I think if your ambitions align with your values, then you won't experience distortion or guilt. If your ambitions align with your values, then you won't experience. I would absolutely say that there's I agree with that partly, Nicole, that if they align with your values, then you're doing something you believe in, so then there won't be as much distortion. But there is still distortion there. But then we get to the same thing. That would be a higher, I don't want to say level, but that would be a step up from just ambition. If you actually have ambition combined with values, then you're actually very likely having less distortions. But say that you have, you want everyone in the world to be a vegan, because you believe in saving the lives of animals, and you go out and you fight for the right, and you have so much ambition to stop all these bloody meat eaters, and they eat so much meat, and the cursed bastards doing all this bad stuff, and they harm all the animals. There's so much distortion in that, even though you have ambition to combine with value. So there's not black and white, but I would say that it's less likely that you'll hurt yourself if you have ambition aligned with value. Absolutely. And I mean, it's just more fun. It's easier to enjoy it if it aligns with your values. Stephen, one class should be meditation and Q&A. That would be pretty cool. JV, not to say I haven't become a better person because of Buddhist teachings. I guess Buddhism is not exempt from the adage, take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, as I say, I sometimes quote Buddhist texts and I say Buddhist because there's so much good stuff in there. But I could also just say that about Christianity or Islam or Anthony Robbins or like any personal motivator has a lot of good stuff also. So like it depends on the case, and especially with Buddhism, that is such an old religion. I remember that all the Buddhist texts that we have, the oldest ones are, I think, 400 years after the Buddha lived. 400 years. And if you, like me, have actually lived with Buddhist monks, you know that they're normal people. And if you, like me, know that Buddhist monks are not the whole, holy person who has like Superman, like that, it's just not true in the sense that people think it is. So the idea that they would be able to remember verbatim for 400 years over, would that be like 8 or 10 generations? Nah. We don't really know what the Buddha said or what he did. You just have to look at the outline, and from that you can grab the things that you believe are true. But yeah, we just don't know. It's impossible. I think there's a lot of stuff in there that was probably very likely similar to what he said. There's some scholars who say that they don't actually believe that the Buddha existed, but that it was a teacher made up to kind of package Hinduistic teachings in such a way that it was more accessible. There's all theories about this. Great question, JVB. Yeah, I agree, Stephen. That was a good question, JVB, and it really brought up a good point. Jack Crasher, there is nowhere to go and nothing to do. Take that on. Yeah, they sing this song when I lived in Plumvillage, as I've said, for like a year at least, maybe even more. No, I think a year in total. And they have this song, happiness is here and now. I have lost my worries. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to do. And I don't need to worry. And sometimes it changes, I don't need to hurry. And they chant these songs. I have such sweet memories thinking of Plumvillage. Beautiful place. Nicole, that's true. Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's Zen. Nice. So, just so we don't go over time too much, For those of you new, we chat like this a little bit before, and then we have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a way of coming back to our senses. After that, since it is Monday today, we have a guided meditation. Yay! All your problems will be solved. After this, you will never have to worry again. I promise. Don Vijayasurya, do you think Nibbana is achievable in this lifetime? Depends on... So I'll just answer this question quickly because it's a really interesting question. I think there's 45, I think it's between 40 and 50 different definitions of what Nibbana, enlightenment, means. So first of all, what does it even mean? If you mean Nibbana as just in cessation or liberation, then I believe so, but it depends on your definition. If you think you're going to be able to fly and read minds and be the purest person on the planet, I don't believe in that. That I don't believe in. But I do believe that there is a way to stop suffering, stop distortion, stop this pressure, stop feeling like I am here. But I believe that the teachings that we have, unfortunately, have missed that because they're more about placating and making it feel calm rather than overcoming the sense of self. So I think there has to be someone on the planet who has done this, but I think it's not a common thing to be able to do this. I have never met anyone who's been able to get rid of what I call distortions, suffering, or the sense of self. I've heard people talk in such ways that it kind of sounds like it. But from my own experience, seeing how the sense of self kind of gets pushed into a narrower place and eventually it makes sense that you'd have to let go of it eventually, and then all distortion would stop. You wouldn't feel the pressure towards the world around you. And for me, that would be liberation. And yes, I believe that is possible. So, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is where we say out aloud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And the whole reason for doing this is because we want to... I'm just going to put the timer on. We want to come back to our senses, to be aware of what we're actually seeing. I said before, enjoying being is not the same as... I need to come up with more words how to say this. Enjoying being is not the same as being in the present moment, because being in the present moment, people say, oh, I'm here, I'm aware of the things around me, I'm here, I'm talking about really cutting that, slicing that down so thinly that you're not doing anything, you just are. And what you're experiencing through your senses, the words that come out of your mouth, is not you trying to say something, it's just things happening. And there's so much liberation in doing that. So we do this exercise to experience the senses like that. And say it out loud to yourself where you're sitting. 5 things you can see around you. So I can see a electrical cable. That's a HDMI cable. And I can look at that cable, I can see the texture of it, I can see the reflections, I can see how it bends and warps, I can see the curvature of it, I can see how the metal is glossy, the plastic is kind of rubbery, and then there's another plastic for the actual cable. So when you observe things and you use your senses, learn how to become, see it as a child. A child would watch that cable, and a child wouldn't know that this is an HDMI cable, and they wouldn't know that I know this is an HDMI cable, and I know that it's a pretty cheap cable. It doesn't look very good quality, because I know electronics, so I have an idea what this means. I know that these bends means that it's been wrapped up, so very likely came together like this with something, and I can have a feeling, okay, that probably came from that old computer, that screen or something I had. And I can have all these relationships towards it. I can still have the knowledge of it, but a child wouldn't care about that. A child wouldn't know it. A child is not dumb, but it's just not having that reaction towards things around it. It views things purely. A child just views things as they are. So a child would say, oh, look at this little reflection here. Well, look how it's even a reflection here in the plastic, but that one's different. Well, that's cool, and this looks like it's solid, but actually, look, I can do this. Whoa. And a child has that curiosity, that unknowing towards the world around them, which makes them curious and which makes them actually enjoy the experience of being. So this is a simple HDMI cable, and when you're experiencing no self or non-centricness, as I call it, this is more enjoyable to watch than whatever game, whatever movie you can come up with. This is so obviously more enjoyable to watch this simple thing than that thing that seems so important, which is why I'm saying that ambition, all those things, they're good, but there's another way of living life that doesn't require all of that, but you can't force yourself into that. You have to kind of untrain all the habits you've learned throughout your life and then learn to see similar to a child. A child doesn't do this completely, but a child does it better than we do. So that's a HDMI cable. I see a plant, and I can see the plant sprouting out and all the reflections and stuff. I see a painting of myself that my aunt had made for me. Well, she hadn't made it, but she ordered it. I see a bunch of cables. I need to fix that. And I see a lock on a door. Those were 5 things that I could see. Next we take 4 things that we can feel. And I can feel the metal on this tripod that is here. I can feel the coldness of it, how it's slippery, and then there's rubber here that I can feel also. I can feel tea going down my throat. That's an interesting sensation to feel. I have both the flavor and the heat and the liquid running down. And you feel it mostly here, and then it kind of disappears around here, but you can still feel the sensation of the tea. I can feel, without even touching, I can feel the dryness of my fingers. How my hands are kind of cracked and chalked. And it's easy to feel that. It's like, oh, this is bad, this is not good, and I should be like doing something. But just experience what does that feel like. It's so easy to get into aversion towards that or feeling bad about that, instead of just experiencing, oh, it's just a sensation. If there wouldn't be any I here averting that, it would just be, oh, this is a feeling that's not comfortable, but I don't need to react towards it. So those are 4 things that I could feel. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. I can hear my ears are popping somehow. I think it's a bit of a cold or something. So there's like this sparkly, almost like a static radio sometimes when I swallow. There's a sound in my ear. It's really interesting. If you listen to that and try to find details, and you can almost get a feeling for that sound. I can hear the wind is making something outside kind of rattle on the office where I'm sitting in. And I can hear a fan, a computer fan that was just speeding up. There's 3 things that I can hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell licorice. I'm drinking licorice tea. It's a difficult smell to put a name on, but maybe it's some kind of vanilla flavor. Scent. It's vanilla scent. So 2 things that I could smell. Next we take 1 thing that we can taste. Yeah, I can taste licorice in my mouth from the tea that I was drinking. So I want you to start focusing on your breath. Just the simple sensation of feeling air coming into your body. It's not important how you're breathing. You don't need to breathe a specific way. Instead, we're just trying to let the body control the breath and do whatever the breath wants to do. Now, it's easy to sit down and say, I am going to focus on my breath, and just be aware. And as soon as you do that, you'll notice that, hey, this is actually not so easy as I would have thought. It's quite difficult to do such a simple thing as just observing the breath. Because what you'll notice is that as soon as you start observing the breath, there's going to be all these distractions that come up. Now, we often think of those distractions as thoughts because that's what we see. But if you look a little bit closer at it, you'll see that thoughts aren't really the problem. The problem is the feelings that happen in your body from those thoughts. And if you're really aware, most of the time you'll actually see that the pattern or the direction of your thoughts comes from a feeling in your body before the thoughts come. So an important distinction to see in meditation is to see that as you're, while I'm talking now, observing your breath, and you're noticing thoughts coming in, analyzing, criticizing, thinking that things are correct, not correct, or I should be or I shouldn't be. If you look behind those thoughts, you'll see that there's a pressure inside your body, a distortion towards things. Maybe it's something that happened before the sitting or that happened yesterday that you worry about. Or maybe you're upset about something that's going to happen tomorrow that you wish wouldn't happen or that shouldn't happen but it's going to happen. Or maybe you're happy about something that's going to happen the day after tomorrow. So all of these things are quietly and very naturally and acceptedly by us in society pulling you away from enjoying just pure being, just being with your breath. Actually not even being with your breath, actually being your breath. Because when you have no sense of self, no non-centricness, you are what you're experiencing. So for the next 20 minutes, just give yourself permission to let go of any ideas that you think you need to figure out. If you feel any kind of guilt about something that, oh, I wish I wasn't doing that, or I should do differently, or I should get better at this. For now, just let it go. Yes, for 20 minutes. I promise you, you're allowed to feel bad about it after. But for the next 20 minutes, just let it be. And focus on your breath. Now, to make it easier to do that, we're going to do an exercise where we count our breaths from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. And I will do this together with you once, and then you can continue by yourself. So breathing in and out. 1. In and out. 2. In and out. 3. In and out. 4. In and out. 5. In and out. 6. In and out. 7. In and out. 8. In and out. 7. In and out. 6. In In and out. 4. In and out. 3. In and out. 2. In and out. 1. Now keep counting your breath from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. As you breathe in and out. 1. In and out. If you want to fail at meditating, it's quite easy to do. Just make sure that you criticize yourself, judge yourself, constantly think and feel that you should be doing better. You shouldn't be drifting off into thoughts. You should be able to follow your breath for more than the count of 3. You should. All of those things make sure that you fail at meditation. If instead you actually want to get better at being aware of being, then be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes and realize that the fastest and best way to gain higher levels of concentration is to realize that you've lost your awareness. Meditation is not about not having distractions and not having thoughts. It's about becoming aware that you're lost in your thoughts, that you're lost in your distortions. And every time you come back, you build concentration. And the more you can do that, the easier your meditation will get. So be kind to yourself as you observe your breath going in and out. 1. In and out. It's easy to believe that you are missing something to progress on your spiritual journey. There is some kind of important information that you need to find to take the next step. That you cannot do it yourself, but instead you need a guru or a teacher who tells you what to do. And even though a guru and a teacher can help you start in the right direction, there really isn't much need for a lot of information. If you're here, very likely you already know everything you need to know. It might be helpful to be reminded sometimes. It might be helpful to share your thoughts and ideas with others. But ultimately, you don't need to know anything else. You know all you need to know. But what we do need to do is to practice what we know. And it's better to know very little and practice that little thing that you know than knowing very much and not practicing what you know. Thank you. That was a really nice sitting. I hope you enjoyed it as well. You're welcome to keep on sitting, have a cup of tea. I'm going to drink just a little bit, and then I'll sign off, and I'll see you all again on Thursday. I'd be curious to hear, I just released a video earlier this week about after I'd been to a funeral, and YouTube has been, for some reason, I think it's because they started automatically translating videos, so they actually have a voiceover in other languages. It seems like I have a lot of Spanish speakers who come to my videos for some reason. So I'm just curious, did everyone actually get that on their feed, my latest video, or is it now trying a completely new audience? You're welcome, Nadia and Dawn. Hey, Valenci. Yeah, it felt nice. It was just a thought that just struck me now, that I'm wondering if YouTube is trying a completely new audience for my videos, since they can now show the material to people who speak other languages. And I think they actually dub, so they actually have someone else speaking my voice. Okay, good. I wish you all a really beautiful week, and think about what we've talked about today, how it's not about really what you do, it's about how you feel about what you do, and doing something just because you're supposed to do it or because it's the right thing to do might not always be the best answer. Instead, everything you do depends on why you do it and what you feel about it. And when you do something, ask yourself if it's bringing you more joy or less joy. Are you feeling like this is something you actually want to do? If it's not, then maybe it's something you should look at. Oh, you watch Spanish videos? Nice. Have a good week, everyone, and I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you.